Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening. I will soon be on the class online boarding for BWBB 3043 Banking Securities. We'll be doing some setup first, so I hope that everyone in our class can stand by because we're going to start at 9:30. Hello? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Pukul 4 malam lah. Dekat mana? Dekat mana? Restoran mana? Boleh? Hmm. Boleh? Tak letih lah. Hmm. Boleh, boleh. Hmm. Boleh. Apa tengah kelas? Boleh. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And a very good evening to everyone. Now we are live for our uh, Muhaizam class boarding. We are waiting for some friend. But we will begin shortly. So what you can see that I like you to open your one notebook, class notebook, and you can find in your handouts section the class lecture for tonight. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to spend 20 minutes only for this class, so you don't need to worry to spend more time or what you call late night time. Okay, I will respect your time. So I'm sorry that we had to or move our online session to this hour because I was a bit busy to prepare for this class. So now I am ready to present to you. So let us begin. All right. Now for tonight's topic is that we're going to start to discuss about topic number 7. Yeah. Now topic number 7 is about stock and shares as securities. All right. Now, basically, we look into the definition first. Definition of a share. Okay. Now, a share is not a sum of money, but it is interest measured by a sum of money and made up of various rights contained in a contract. So basically, these shares is representing a sum of money that represent, because it is measured, right, by how much the investors give the money to buy the shares. Okay. And then it okay and then it gives in shares, right? We see that shares, basically shares, right, is a piece of paper, okay, that companies gives, that represent, there are many kinds of shares, right? But what is important, that shares, it gives one, is like ownership of to the company. In terms of this is where very interesting, dividends is what the company promise to pay to the shareholder. Okay, shareholder means that the people who bought the share, so shareholder. Okay, profit that the company has, receive from their operation, give to the shareholder. All right, so the people who bought the shares are called shareholder. So it represent rights. Okay, so this is why the keyword here is rights, and it is a form of, let me change the color, contractual nature of shareholders, right? So it is based on contracts, right? Means that it is written, and companies have to fulfill the promise that they say. Let's say that they want to give dividends to the shareholder, so they have to give dividends to the shareholder, and buy shares from shareholders. So it's a buyback. So it gives that kind of definition. So basically, what I want to go into for tonight, because we're going to have a very short online course, and I would like you to do a little bit of exercise. Okay, first is we need to understand, because companies can give the bank what we call this share certificates, or what we call the contracts that the company have about their, because sometimes companies do buy shares, their own shares, and that is kept as an asset. Okay, because not all the shares. Okay, for example, we have two kinds of shares here. Number one is ordinary shares, and number two is preferred shares. So these are kinds of shares that is available made by the company. The company offer these shares to people to buy. So, but these represent different features. Preferred shares. Okay. But we look into this main topic here, which is the share certificate. So usually when companies borrow money, so they can give to the bank a collateral, but the collateral would be the certificates, or the, because it they cannot sell the shares to the bank, and the bank does not own the contracts or the rights of like a normal shareholder, but banks can hold the certificate, and as long as the companies have not paid up their loan, um, so banks can exercise their right to sell the shares to the market in order for them to get the money for the loan that they give to the company. So that is a form of how shares is being taken into a collateral for the loan, right? So it's basically what companies do to get the loan and give the collateral, the shares as collateral. So this is the concept, share certificate. And you need to understand, all right, the elements of a share. So tonight is that the exercise is very simple, right? Once you understand the concept, I already shared with you the concept of shares, how the banks take the shares, right? I want in class, right? In your own class notes, right? In your class notes, what you can do is that you can go research in the YouTube, you can research in the internet, and uh, provide what we call definition of shares, company shares. So what you're going to do for your class activity for tonight or later on before we meet up for the next class, right? Class activity is to tell me example of shares. We are going to use here, uh, find out find out what we call what shares in company. Okay, in company, sorry. Okay, in company. So this is your exercise that you need to do. Okay, find out what shares in means in a company. Okay, in company means, okay, sorry, I put this one so you know what to do. What in company, find out what shares in a company means. Okay, all right, so you can explain or give example. You can find YouTube, a bigger. You can find YouTube, okay, search YouTube, okay, or maybe you can add in links um, to your class notes, okay, that explains about shares in the company means, and so on, right? So I will look into your individual folder, all right, under the class notes, to look into the what we call the result of this activity later on before our next meeting or before our next online learning. So then we move on. But okay, so here, okay, this is among the features of shares. So you can uh, see that shares can be quoted shares, can be unquoted shares. So this is all the notes that the this topic is talking about features of shares in company, and that is why I ask you to do the exercise later on and to fill up the answers on your own so you can understand better the meaning of each of the terms used for this topic. Because to understand shares as security is very simple, because you need to know what it is about and how companies give it as a collateral. Okay. All right. And also in terms of the reason why certain shares are not acceptable as a good collateral, because you have to understand about banks criteria of good collateral, right? So for this example, you're going to understand the criteria whether it is acceptable and then unacceptable. Okay, so what acceptable? Let's say, for example, the kinds of shares, the kinds of features that a share is acceptable. So you can draw your answers here, the features. Okay, tell the answers here. So for example, for unquoted shares, right, the reason why it is acceptable, right, for unquoted shares, right, is current market, the value. Okay, let me change this color, is green, right, represent dollar. So when the value of shares is uncertain, unknown, difficult to sell, making hard for banks to change it to cash, so it will be unacceptable. Okay, so you can write the answer to this here. You can put here, all right, summarize it, and you can put here. Okay, current market, right? Give you example. This is my example. You can do this on your own. Okay, value uncertain. Okay, example. Okay, now finally, we're going to talk about, okay, the flow chart is very important to understand this flow chart. Okay, there are several steps that companies have or banks have to ensure that the process for taking shares as security is being conducted according to the right steps. So we're looking at what is CDS. All right, CDS already explained here. Right, CDS is the central depository here, central depository system, CDS. Okay, so it starts with the CDS account, number one, and then the bank, through its nominee, right, opens nominee pledge. So this is important, nominee pledge account in the CDS, right? So the next step, this is step number 2. Step number 3, the customer transfers shares under the CDS account to nominee pledge securities account. That's number 3. And then number 4, okay, upon confirmation of transfer, bank value shares, right? It needs to value to determine exactly is it enough or not to cover as the collateral for the loan, because of the prices of shares fluctuates. It is not constant. Fluctuates. Change, fluctuate. Fluctuate. A-T-E. Because if you look here, I will show you how does price of shares move. So this is a graph. So usually it can be here, okay, can go low. So this is the value of shares. This is the time. So it is always move constantly. And how the prices move up or move down, the prices move up, move down, is depend on the what you call demand, supply, right, of the market to buy or to sell that particular company shares. Okay, so if there is more demand to buy the shares, the price will go up. But if it is more supply to what you call sell the shares, selling, this will cause the price to go lower. More supply means that more seller, then more buyer. If more buyer, then the price go up. If more seller, then the price go down. And this is why banks have to evaluate the prices of the shares being pledged, the shares being given as collateral, because they need to determine at that particular time what is the market value. This is what it determines. Market value. Okay. And finally, number 5. All right. This is where after it have filled, okay, what we call here, we don't forget that customer accepts credit limit and executes memorandum of deposit. Form 34 is filled if applicable. So this is in the Malaysian environment, in the CDS, right? So it must fill form 34. And then after that, after it's already nominee, okay, the word here is important, that they accept nominee, okay. And then bank monitors the CDS securities register and revalues customer shares on a weekly basis. So therefore, if the share prices that is being given out as a collateral, if the share prices drop below than the amount of needed to be a collateral for the loan, the bank have to ask the customer to top up certain amount of money or cash. So that is the reality of taking or accepting shares as collateral. Because why? Every now and then, banks have to evaluate the prices of shares. They cannot remain static, right? Because bank doesn't know what will happen to the company in the future, whether the company we can pay back or not the loan, or the company shares already drops very low. So that is why banks really play constant assessment on the value of the shares when they want to take shares as security. And this is very challenging for banks. And I think that is all that I want to share with you tonight. All right, you understand until now for this flow chart of taking shares as security, and the reason why must they do this. All right, they have to evaluate because of the answer is because prices of shares fluctuates. So they have to do and evaluate all these things. Okay. So I think that's all that I want to share with you. If you have any comments, if you have anything that you want to add, or you want to give feedback in our online learning experience, what you can do is that you can drop your feedback or your questions that you want to raise in our Facebook group, right? I will look at the questions and I will respond to your questions later. And that's all that I hope that we can, you can raise your questions later on in this, what we call YouTube. Whether you want to raise your question in the YouTube or in the Facebook, it doesn't matter, because I can see both of the responses. As long as you respond, you have something. So it's easy communication. Anything that is easy for you is acceptable for me. All right. So please like, all right, share this video with your friends who is not here, because the video will be saved later. You can review this video again, no problem. Or you can now look at the notes that you can see in the OneNote class notebook, review it. You can go to any references in the internet, course heroes and everything, to learn about shares as security, right? So that's all that I want to share. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you can talk again later. Assalamualaikum. Good night. Bye bye. Yes.